Yo guys, welcome back to a brand new video. Today we are facing off Invisible Woman Sue Storm versus Captain America Sharon Rogers for the best Blast Female Human restriction. So yeah, starting off we are taking a look at Invisible Woman. I recently tier 4'd her. This is what her build looks like. I have her with a 4-star artifact and a Mighty Rage CTP. So yeah, without further ado, let's get straight into our testing. So with the recent changes to Alliance Battle, this new restriction got added to the game, Blast Human Female. But yeah, for this restriction, you have very limited good options. The standout options in my opinion, we are testing today. You can argue Ironheart can also be considered a viable option, but I wouldn't recommend it because she's not that good. But coming back to Invisible Woman, even though her value only lies in the Blast Hero Female restriction, she qualifies for 2 more restrictions in Alliance Battle Legends. But yeah, we don't really care about that. Coming back to Alliance Battle Extreme, she has 2 out of 3 cancels in her kit, only missing Silence. Invisible Woman is very easy to play. The rotation that I used was 6 cancel, 3 cancel, 5 cancel, 4. I also used 1 and 2 in the middle, so I loaded up my tier 4 skill quicker. As for the team that I used Ironheart's lead with Wasp as a support. Now, Wasp isn't the best support of course for PvE, however I have insight on her, so I just decided to go with her to keep things consistent. The best case scenario would be using Valeria Franklin as a support for Invisible Woman. I did test her out with Valeria Richards in the tier 4 video, so yeah, be sure to check that out. Alternatively, you can use Ancient One with one of her previous uniforms. The Ignore Dodge is very useful in Alliance Battle Extreme. But yeah, with that being said, we conclude our run crossing 14 million. A decent run for a character that isn't primarily PvE. Now we move on to Sharon Rogers. We're gonna start off by testing Sharon Rogers with her seasonal uniform. This is what her build looks like. She also has a 4-star artifact, and I'm using her with the exact same Mighty Rage CTP. Let's get straight into it. So for Alliance Battle overall, Sharon Rogers qualifies for the exact same restrictions as Sue Storm. But again, Alliance Battle Extreme is where we're gonna be using her the most. She also has 2 out of 3 cancels, and she is only missing Burn. As for her rotation, it's 3 cancel, 5 delay, cancel 4, and if you have your 6th skill available, cancel 4 into 6. I did use a Rage CTP on both these characters, but I'd say Invisible Woman would probably perform better with the competition. However, a Rage CTP is better value on Sharon Rogers since she has guaranteed crit rate in her kit. However, the standout issue with Sharon Rogers is that this uniform is a paywall uniform, so a lot of you guys might not be willing to spend real money on the game. Similarly, Sue Storm is also a part of a deluxe spec, making her very expensive for a free-to-play player. So yeah, you have to take that into consideration before building both of these characters. Invisible Woman does have a slight upper hand on Sharon Rogers because she is very much usable in PvP. But the cheaper alternative to both these characters is Sharon Rogers herself with her free-to-play uniform, which we're covering up next. But yeah, with that being said, we're near the end of this run with Sharon Rogers, and we fall short of 14 million. Still near the same ballpark as Invisible Woman. But with that run concluding, we can now finally move on to the free-to-play alternative to both these characters. Sharon Rogers with her Poseidon armor uniform. Let's see how she does in Alliance Battle Extreme. Coming out in April 2023, this uniform is over 2 years old. However, it's still most likely the best free-to-play option for this restriction. She doesn't change her typing at all, and on top of that, she has all 3 cancels for Alliance Battle Extreme, making her much more versatile than both the uniforms we just tested. The rotation that I used was the exact same as the paywall uniform. 3 cancel, 5 delay, cancel 4, and if you have the 6th skill available, cancel 4 into the tier 3 skill. Now as for her build, again, Rage is definitely the best option for her because she also has guaranteed crit rate in her kit, just like her new uniform. Now talking a little bit about Sharon Rogers' team, I am again using Wasp. However, the best pick would definitely be Ancient One, but since I didn't have her uniform or a support CTP, I just decided to use Wasp. Now talking about support characters, I am planning on making an Alliance Battle support character guide. However, it's taking me too long because there's so many characters. But still, stay tuned for that. It should be the next video on the channel. Anyways, we're close to the end of this run and it seems like we're gonna be struggling to hit 13 million. I am slightly disappointed, but you have to take into consideration that this is a 2.5-year-old uniform. But that brings us to the end of our testing. We can now finally move on to our comparison. Let's check out the difference in the scores. So yeah, starting off at the bottom, we had Sharon Rogers with her old uniform. She scored 12.54 million. Following that with the score of 13.9 million. In second place, we have Sharon Rogers with her new uniform. That is a 10% increase compared to her old uniform. And then finally, we have Invisible Woman with a score of 14.34 million. That is 14.36% better than Sharon Rogers' old uniform and only 3.2% better than Sharon Rogers' new uniform. Bringing us to the end of the comparison. Sharon Rogers' old uniform ended up being the worst performing one. However, she is the cheapest option here. So weighing out your options, she still might be your best pick. Now in terms of scores, Invisible Woman did perform the best, even though we didn't use her ideal support pick. If we use Valeria Richards, she would have scored much better and even 15 million. So yeah, taking that into consideration, Invisible Woman would be the best pick for this restriction. However, if you are looking for a cheaper alternative, Sharon Rogers' old uniform is probably your go-to pick. Now, as for myself, I am going to be switching my Invisible Woman's build back to PvP because the difference between her and Sharon Rogers' paywall uniform was marginal, and I'd rather have a character who is usable in PvP than only have her build for one day of Alliance Battle. As for Sharon Rogers, I barely use her anyways at the moment, so yeah, switching her to Alliance Battle would give her some value in my roster. But yeah, you should do that as well. Min-max your roster for the best value and the best outcome from each and every single one of your characters. And with that being said, this is the end of the video. Let me know your thoughts down below on the Blast Female Hero restriction. But yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Until then, have a great one. Peace!